where the magic of the silver screen meets the charm of Fallout. Broadcasting to you from the heart of Charleston, we're here to take you on a delightful journey. Now let's meet our hosts.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back. So, in the background, I'm going to be having some camps being displayed. We're going to get a little sneak peek at some of these. And believe it or not, these are the ones that did not make the top five. And I hate saying that because look at that shit. Look at what six did. How does that not make it? You know, it's every one of you guys did a phenomenal job. The participation is amazing, and I really do appreciate it. It's you guys have really turned the top five around. With the participation and everything, it is amazing. I had over an hour of footage, and then when I finally cut it down to the smallest amount, it was like 42 minutes, and then I had to cut it down even further. So, that's why some of these just aren't making it. Otherwise, every video is going to be freaking an hour or more. This is really, really well done, guys. Atomic Punk, your tiki bar is freaking phenomenal. Real quick, I love the gates on here. I love the gates. So, real quick, we knew that the intermediate and advanced categories was going to the wayside with the new building system. And it's because everybody's much more on an equal playing field. This is LD's first camp with this building system, and wonderful job, by the way. But I think moving forward, what we're going to end up doing, we're going to have a couple categories, and we're going to do a traditional style camp, which obviously that's a traditional style. You're going to have your building and, stuff like that. And then we're going to have a creative section, and that's where you're going to see, robots, spaceships, drag cars, whatever you've got. And I say drag cars in particular because Blow It Up Baza did one. That way we can kind of separate those because how the heck do you compare a freaking robot to somebody's shed that's out in the woods? It's extremely hard to do. So we're going to, open up those two categories to start with, and we'll see how it goes. But now for the top five, let's jump into it. Strata Blaster, phenomenal job on this, by the way. This is over here in Clarksburg. And, I don't see a lot of people build over near Clarksburg. And part of the reason is that the building radius around that town kind of sucks. Yeah, they kind of blocked off a lot of areas. But there is one area in particular that you can build that's relatively close to the town. And it turns out it's that water tower right there. That is pretty cool. Now, in the past, I have tried to build here, and you couldn't get that close. So I don't know, what they did to alter the restrictions because in a lot of places they've expanded it to where you can't build close. And apparently this one got relocated to where you can build there, which I'm glad they did because what a phenomenal job, huh? So yeah, that's something to always keep your eye on because they do move borders and things like that, and it's something that you want to pay attention to because there's some like pre-existing areas that you may end up wanting to try. So keep that in mind. They would do wiggle things around a little bit. But what a beautiful job on this. I love the structure, tons of texturing. Obviously, there's a crane in the background. Really good job with the immersion on there. He's got the uh, the loom, the loom wheels, and he's using those as shivs. If you're ever wondering what the hell those pulleys are called that a cable runs over, it's called a shiv. Yeah, interesting. I used to, yeah, well, that's what I kind of used to do for a living is cranes and material handling and all that crap. So, yeah, nerd fact. But yeah, this is beautiful, beautifully done. I love the interior. The interior by far is better than the outside, and the outside's phenomenal. Look at all the stuff that's packed in here. But this is something that I've noticed with the new building system is that the best builders are packing the crap out of their workbenches, stuff like that. They're putting them in places where sometimes they're not as obvious or easily seen, but you could still access them and use them. Um, this is just beautiful, man. I mean, there's really not much else to say other than phenomenal freaking job. I absolutely love it. I love that you've put the pipes in there. You know, simulate some plumbing and things like that. Very great job. And now we have Flotten Moyne. And this is the guy who said, I'll never make the top five. Ha! Ha! Okay. How's that working out for you, pal? This is beautiful. I love this build. This is another water tower, obviously. So, Flatten, once you get inside, you'll see what they've done. And the interior is amazing. Yes, it is junky and stuff like that on the outside, but they did a good job. It's really cute with the plants and stuff that they've added around here. But it definitely has that wasteland scrappy vibe on here. And for you non-scrappy builders, I'd love to see some freaking clean camps. That would be really fun. I would love to see some good ones, please and thank you. Um, I love clean camps just as much as I like the scrappy ones. But when I build my own, yes, I do prefer scrappy. But Flotten, you've done a fantastic job here, and we are going to be moving inside on the interior here in a second. But everything's really, really well done, well decorated. You do have some floating stumps there, and that drove me nuts. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty much that's one of my very, very few complaints about this build. You got some floating stumps out there. You gotta fix that. I like seeing the new pipes. I wish they would have gave us more variety of those pipes. That's not a big ask. But look at the interior. Look at how everything's packed in here. You've got stuff up under the shelves and the benches and iron ingots laying out. It's just very, very well done. I really like this. You did a great job. Great job. And some of these pre-existing structures, like that pipe right there in the middle, that is from the water tower itself. But I'm talking about like that build kit that they gave us. I wish they would have gave us like some 90-degree elbows and stuff like that, where we could connect the pipes a little differently. But yeah, Flotten, you've done a fantastic job here. Amazing. Absolutely love it. You created a very, very convincing scene that this would be a real place that you would come across in the wasteland. I like it. And again, I like scrappy stuff, but, that's just my personal preference on this game. Lady H obviously needs no introduction. Guys, pay attention to this because these are prefabs. I never thought in all the history of all the crap that I have seen Lady H do, I never thought for a minute that I was going to say, yeah, there's going to be a day where she does prefabs at her camp, and that's going to be the majority of the stuff, and it's going to look good. Well, she said, hold my beer, because clearly the majority of this is prefabs, but she has mushed them together in a way that looks so freaking convincing. And that's why it made it. It's a creative use of the stuff. You've created an entire scene here. Um, and a lot of times I do say like, yeah, this looks like a place that you'd come across in the wasteland. No, this is legit. This is legit. Looks like something that you would come across in the wasteland. She's got the crypt beds in there. She merged them in there like they are vaults for the corpses, which, again, great freaking job. But I mean, this shows the true potential of what you can do because, again, guys, this is a bunch of freaking prefabs. There's not a lot of crazy crap going on here, and look at how good it looks. This is very convincing. So hats off, young lady. This is not what I expected from you. Um, but that's the thing. Like with some builders and stuff, every once in a while you'll be like, I was not expecting that, and you're super happy when you see it though, because you're just like, wow. And this is another one of them. She did leave a hole in the wall and then filled it with vines and roots and stuff like that. Great job. And then we have the ND. Um, Rumor has it, which it's undocumented, there's no photographic evidence, so I call BS. But rumor has it that there was a teddy bear sneaking around this camp while it was being built. And I know that's just untrue because I am a ninja. Yes, it's true. It's a fact. Nobody will ever spot me as I patrol camps or anything. But great job with this, man. All jokes aside, that trailer, you're going to see it in a little bit. Um, he has a farm in there. I love the boat being over there. Again, a couple of prefabs being used that it just works. It works. The boss medallion up top and then using the angled walls like it's supporting it, that was really smart. I like that. But yeah, this is great. You've got the pulleys sticking through the walls here from your butter churn. And, that's something to keep in mind, guys. Anytime that you can utilize something with animations and stuff, it brings that aspect of life and something going on. But this is beautifully done. Um, and I am not going to lie. Yeah, I was perving on this. And this is the beautiful thing because I am a PC player. Unfortunately, this is not cross-platform, and for very obvious reasons. If they ever did decide to, merge platforms, that would be really, really toxic for console players because PC players they just have access to too many mods. Um, but this is. I wish that it was cross-platform for the camp building experience, though, because I'd love to go perv on a lot of people's stuff. Because I do that now. Beautiful job, though. And again, I love the use of that trailer as a little mini farm. That was really, really smart. And I don't know about you guys, because I'm not real big on a lot of the communist decoration. It's just kind of bland and plain. But that little Collectron, that thing is freaking adorable. I really like that thing. Look at that. The generator merged into the golf cart like it's some sort of little water wheel and it's being driven by the current of the swamp moving. Just really, really creative, man. I love seeing ND's stuff. He probably hates seeing when a teddy bear walks around. Um, and there may be an imposter bear in the future, just so you know, because I told Stratoblaster, he's like, man, I want to go look at somebody's camp, but I don't want to bother them if they're working. I was like, well, just dress like a teddy bear. They're going to blame me anyway. Just stay crouched so they can't see your name. So, if you do see an imposter bear, I'm sorry. Goldfinger, and this is, again, beautiful job. Beautiful job. I was really impressed with this one because they've created an entire village here. All right, well, that's not the best look. Not gonna lie. This is just overall creepy. Has a very creepy vibe. Oh, the poor doll with the knife in it. What the hell, man? What did that doll do to you? But Goldfinger's one of them people that, when he builds something, he creates an entire ambiance and an entire scene. This was super creative use of all of the skeletons, like they are, living beings that are there. It's just very, very well done. I love that you've got the roofs packed in there like that. It creates such a cool texture. It's just overall. I mean, look at it. You're telling a story. You're not just building a camp, and I love seeing that. I really do. Very, very well done, sir. This one creeped me out. Okay, that is a horrific scene, and I love the animation when you put the exploding meat pile in there. Very, very cool. And for those of you who don't know, those meat piles, if you destroy them, you'll see the meat chunks come flying out, and it was most likely put on a flamer trap or something like that. Now, moving on to the creative category. And depending on how many that we have in the future, we may end up splitting it up into two top fives. It just depends on how many from each category that we end up getting. Okay. We have to play it by ear at that point. But Dead Guy Crafts, what a freaking amazing job. He created a shield out of the walls for his robot. And I think that that is the largest ultrasight sword that I've seen in the wasteland, period. Look at all the detail in the hands on that thing. I love this. This is excellent. You did a really, really great job using the fans as pivot points for all the joints on the bot. This is really, really good. The one thing I will say is that the proportion of it is a little bit off, but that may be the way that he wanted it. Look at the toes and the feet on that robot, by the way. Those are stash boxes. It's those little cars. Unbelievable. Unbelievable the crap that you guys are coming up with. Your creative minds are just literally mind blowing sometimes. This is amazing. I like the forklift and the head. I mean, there's just a million things here. And guys, if you really want to get the detail, you're going to have to put this thing on slow-mo or pause it. That way you can see it, because there's a million things in that freaking robot. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And fantastic job, man. That is impressive. That is my second favorite robot that I have seen out of this new build system. Now, blow it up, Baza. A top fuel funny car. Well, not a funny car. This is a top fuel rail. Okay. I absolutely love the creativity and the idea of this. The only complaint that I would really say that I have is the sides of it, and the top right there. It's kind of plain, you know, but you're really limited on what you can do with some of the items. And this is beautiful. I mean, the creativity here. And, again, guys, this is our trial and error period. Everybody's still learning the building system and what you can do with it. You're going to be discovering so many things that you'll say, oh, okay, well, I would have never put these two items together in the past. But you're going to find something, you're going to be like, wow, this really works. And as you keep doing that and adding all those little things to your toolbox, all those little ideas, the future's really, really going to be crazy. Yeah, this is great. I wish it would have been a little bit narrower. If you would have made that rail narrower, because in real life they are very, very, very narrow. This is beautiful, though. I love it. I love it. The creativity of you guys is absolutely phenomenal. The bike's in the front of this thing. He's got the bench in there to simulate a little wing. Crazy. The steering wheel. This was brilliant. I absolutely love the steering wheel in there. They're using that spinning colored fan. And that was a really cool idea. Didn't expect to see that. And look at the rear spoiler. There's benches in there. Unbelievable. Now, the real question, though, is this a Whipple or a Root style blower that's on that engine? And what are you running it on? Nuka Shine? I assume. So, Dirty Disco, geez. Okay, so I think that this is probably my favorite spaceship that I've seen out of the new build system. I love the way it looks from the back, too, with the lighting, and you've got your thrusters sitting there. This is very, very cool. Look at how smooth the edges and stuff are. And, I'm expecting at some point we're going to see a UFO that's just made out of machinery and, round curved pieces, things like that. And I say UFO, but this is an Enclave spaceship, okay? But as far as flying objects. I'm assuming at some point somebody's going to just build one strictly out of machinery where there's nice smooth edges literally everywhere. This is beautifully done. Disco, you went above and beyond, and again, I think that this might be my new favorite. Widow Bite did one that was phenomenal, phenomenal, and at that point, that one was my favorite, and I think this one is my new one. The interior is very nicely done, but the layout of the overall structure from the exterior, it looks legit. It looks like a flying, spacecraft. And then on the interior, obviously, you're looking at it. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. It's unbelievable some of the stuff that I have seen you guys creating. And it's honestly, I feel honored that you guys participate in this stuff. Because I'm not anybody special. I'm just a camp building nerd. And, being able to have access to all your entries and all the creative crap that you guys do, it's truly inspiring to me. Right now, I'm not building. When the new season comes out, I am starting a new character, but I have to wait until that point because I don't want to delete some of my legacy camps because some of them they were done at a time where we can't do those certain things anymore. So, I'm gonna have to start a new character, but I am itching. I am just dying to get building again. Pretty much the only thing I'm doing right now is custom world. But yeah, this is beautiful, Dirty. Absolutely love this. And Dirty is one of them people that you definitely need to check out their content. They're always making videos with music involved and phenomenal work. This is beautiful, man. Absolutely love it. My hat's off. Bravo. Bravo. Well, let's get down to it because you guys all did a phenomenal job. And, it sucks having to put these in some sort of order. At least me personally, I really don't like the contest aspect of it because these are just meant to be inspiring and they're a showcase of your talent. And it sucks, that we only have a top five, but these are the winners this week, in my personal humble opinion. So, in first place, we do have ND with the Warriors Rest build. That was phenomenally done. In second, Stratoblaster, and that was the Clarksburg build. In third, Goldfinger 76, and that was the haunted village that you never ever want to visit ever in your life. In fourth place, we have Flotten Moyne. Now, that was another water tower build, and phenomenal job. But Flotten, you got to promise me to go fix some floating stumps, okay? That's crazy. I don't like it. I don't like it. It hurts my OCD. In fifth place, we have Lady H. And, fantastic job. The creative use of the prefabs to make them look like something that they, you know, they really aren't. That's what got you there. That was just super super creative use of that stuff. And last but not least, I do want to mention an honorable mention. Six Samurai Gaming, man, you should have been in the top five. I mean, there's no reason that your camp wasn't good enough or anything like that. It's definitely top five worthy. You should have been right up in there with these people. And again, we're just limited to the number of positions for a top five. But as camp, absolutely, absolutely should have been in there also. So let's move on to the creative category. So, for the creative minds out there in Fantasyland, in first place, we have Dead Guy Crafts, and that was that amazing robot that we had seen. In second, we have Dirty Disco with his Enclave ship. Very phenomenal job on that. I love how you still use regular building material, like walls, roofs, the floors, typical things that people use, but you did it in a way that it's not this big angular structure or anything. You smoothed out and rounded the edges, which, you know, it makes it look more convincing. Great job. And in third, last but not least, because, we only have three in this one, Blow It Up Baza, your top fuel dragster was freaking amazing. I love seeing you do your engine builds and things like that. You really, really get highly detailed when it comes to that stuff, like adding butterflies to the intake and, very, very cool, creative. And I love seeing that stuff. But we only have a top three on in this category for this week. And again, guys, since we are splitting this up in categories in the future, um, yeah, I don't know how many entries that we're going to have, and we're just going to have to play it by ear. I may end up separating these into a couple of videos because I do want to shrink this timeline down a little bit. Our top fives are quite lengthy, and part of that is because we have so many freaking entries that, I do want to at least show a little bit of the camps and things like that. So we may end up splitting these up in the future. Now, don't forget, we do have Fallout Day coming up, and we are doing a celebration of that. So the deadline for that is October 21st. I want to see some parades, party scenes, things that show how you're celebrating Fallout Day. So, until the next time, my friends, get your entries in. I love you, and I will see you in the next one.